They tell me you're a man with true grit.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you asked for it, the fastest podcast on the planet. It's time to drop the hammer. And we've got my sidekick tonight's going to be Kelly, the big boss man we always call him here. I'm your host, Shane Davis, former IMCA Modified National Champion. And
I'm just Kelly.
You're just Kelly.
I'm just Kelly.
That's it.
Yep.
We got to come up with something for you, Kelly.
We'll get there, man,
All right.
someday.
All right,
someday
brother.
We'll find it.
Maybe we can get you in Chuck's car one of these nights.
Yeah, there we go.
All right.
Well,
And
in there.
Yeah.
we have got, very proud to announce that we got Chuck Hanna with us tonight. IMCA Late Model driver. Chuck, how you doing?
Doing perfect. Couldn't be any better.
All right. And you notice we got a chair that's empty next to me. It's Pat Moore. He coaches youth baseball, and with all the rainouts, just like the racetracks, they rescheduled one of his games for Monday night. So he said, I can coach my son, or I can do the podcast, and he's coaching his son. So I said, hey, you're an honorable man. I'm happy for you. Way to go. All right, we got to pay the bills. We're going to do a quick commercial here. Done Right TV and Security Solutions provides local residential and commercial customers with TV, security, internet, and various other services. From equipment to services, they can connect you with a high-quality internet service provider or any one of the many TV providers available. Check them out on their website at www.donerighttv.com, or you can give us a call for appointments and questions at 563-355-7490. All right. Well, hey, Chuck, let's get rolling, man. A lot of exciting things happening this week. East Moline Speedway last night. Before we get into talking about Chuck, Tyler Erb up there put on a great show. 2 to go. He makes a pass, gets down in tech, and he's DQ'd. Wow.
Yeah. Yep. You know, it's unfortunate, but you know, without going into details, you know, you can make a lot of people mad, you know, by saying, you know, what you think is your opinion, you know. But at the end of the day, Tyler Erb was there, put some people in the stands.
That's right.
And he put on a heck of a show, and Andy and Jake racing with him, they did a great job, and really that's what it's all about. You know?
It really is. You know, whenever a racetrack closes, it's not good for anybody. And, you know, you get some of the keyboard warriors that go home and they'll complain about their hot dog didn't taste right or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
And, you know, ultimately it's hurting racing. And, you know, we need all the racetracks we can get. So we need East Moline, we need Davenport, Donaldson, Burlington, on down the line.
Yeah. You know, again, back to that East Moline thing with Tyler Erb. Kudos to Doug Curlis for getting him there. You know, I mean, I don't even know how that comes about, but whatever he did, it's nice to go out there, you know, and we're racing with Tyler Erb.
That's right, man. That's cool.
And he did what he was supposed to do.
Yeah, he won. Yeah.
Kind of.
I like that. Hey, so Denny Osborne drove the number 72 in late model orange car, passed away today. So our thoughts and prayers go out to the family, fans, and friends of Denny Osborne. I remember seeing him run, IMCA late model, open late model, seen him up at Liberty. The guy was an Independence regular, and we sure we're going to miss him. Every time we lose a racer, it's going to be tough. But okay, let's roll the clock back and start talking about you, Chuck. You were a Ford man, and man, I love Fords. I got an old 71 Mach 1, but I've had a lot of Ford classic cars, and so you're running Fords out there and you're modified when you started out. What made you get into dirt track racing? I mean, were you sitting in the stands and you said, hey, I can do that?
Yeah, it was always, I had the need for speed.
Yeah.
You know, I lost my license when I was 20 years old.
Wow.
Too many speeding tickets,
Yeah.
and I started off racing radio-controlled cars. And then, I started hanging around. I was in the stands for a lot of years. And
Okay.
then a friend of mine, Dennis Dirks,
Oh, yeah.
he...
Ford guy.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, right.
and that's how it started happening. And what happened was I was helping him, and then he had a car that he was getting rid of.
Okay.
I didn't have a nickel to my name. And he says, Chuck, he says, I'll tell you what. He says, I'll sell you that car and you make me a monthly payment.
Are you kidding me?
Nope.
Man.
And so I kept it at his house. I said, hey, I'm not bringing it home, until it's paid for. So then I got the car home.
Okay.
Well, I didn't have an engine. I didn't have
Yeah.
right? So that was how the Ford thing came about. I wasn't a big Ford guy at that time. I was driving Chevy pickups, and he made fun of me, But so then I made payments on the Ford engine.
Okay.
And that's kind of how that all got going. And then Brian Webb come over to my house once I brought the car home, and he says, I can't let you go out there with that car looking like that. So he came along, stripped the car down, put a whole new body on it. We were still popping rivets by hand. I didn't have an air compressor.
I remember those days.
Yeah.
Made a man out of you.
It did.
Yeah.
Hands got tired, but we would, like, we started from scratch. I didn't know anything about it. I was there to hold panels, and
Sure.
He's got strings sitting everywhere and making parts, and then we would leave my house in Rapid City and drive to Bluegrass to his dad's house.
Okay.
To use the brake.
Yeah.
So then we'd come back.
And Brian Webb, for the people that don't know it out there, is Gary Webb.
Gary's, yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Gary's son.
Yeah.
So we'd drive out to Gary's, bend up the piece, and then we'd go back. And if it wasn't absolutely perfect, because Brian's a perfectionist,
oh my gosh,
then he would scrap it.
Yeah.
We'd drive back out there, make a piece. So it took us probably 7 months.
All right.
To get the body on that car. So,
now, how old are you at this age then, when you got into it?
When I got into it, what was I? I was about 38.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, Chuck, was that a blue car you had then?
Yes.
Okay, I remember that car. All right.
It was an old Frieden car.
Oh, yeah.
And out of the modifieds I had, I was lucky enough that one, for whatever reason, I had Brian's help, and it was pretty fast.
Yeah.
It was faster than the driver.
Yeah, you remember, Chuck, back in the day, those Frieden cars, if you ran West Liberty, you had to have a Frieden car. I mean, they just had those things figured out, and they went around Liberty like you wouldn't believe. They were fast cars. And, hey, Mike Frieden won the IMCA Super Nationals a couple of times.
Yeah.
And he, he was a heck of a shoe and built a great car, and they were safe. Jim Willert ran a Frieden car for a while.
Yep.
And they were a good machine.
Yeah. It was a pretty simple car, but it worked.
Now I want to ask you, okay, the Frieden car, when they first come out with those, I mean, the interior literally was formed as your seat. You're sitting down in aluminum. You could put a pad down there or whatever.
Yep.
But there wasn't the fancy seats that we got today, Chuck.
No, there wasn't. But when we redid the cockpit and everything, so we put a regular seat in it.
Oh, good.
And kind of made it. But yeah, it just had a little, like an L that you sat in for the seat. And there wasn't much to it.
Like one size fits all.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So did you have success in that first car?
Yes. Like I said, that was, right off the bat, it was easy for me to drive. The first year, we won some heat races.
Yeah.
At Davenport, we had full fields every night.
Right. Oh.
You had to qualify. It's just like now, there were 30 or 35 cars. So it was a big deal to make it. Didn't win any features that first year. Went to Tipton at the very end of that first year, and kept my car in pretty good shape. Everything went pretty good.
Yeah.
And I blew the engine up.
Oh.
And when I blew the engine up, the car come to a stop on the track, and a car didn't see me and just come in and wipe me out.
Ah, man.
So
that's always your fear when that happens. You're
yes,
like,
it is.
Man, hang on.
I looked over to my left, and I saw him coming down the straightaway. I'm like, man, this isn't going to be good, and it wasn't. It literally popped my ankle out of socket when they were pulling me out of the car. I saw my foot pointing the wrong way, and I was like,
come on.
Oh, boy. But
now, did Dennis Dirks give you a warranty on that motor?
We talked about those things. It didn't work so well, but Dennis was always super good to me. I mean,
no kidding.
He, whatever it took, somehow, some way, he wouldn't give you things.
Yeah.
But he mentored me
right
enough to get me going and tell me, he would tell me, hey, I suggest that you buy a new carburetor so you don't have problems.
Right.
I suggest you buy a new transmission so you don't have problems.
Sure.
So some of those things, even in today's racing, if people want to get in, it's nice to have a mentor to kind of help you through the things that you really need to have so you can get around the track every night and not have to work on it.
Yeah, and I remember, I was talking last week. We had Spencer on the show, and I bought a jukebox out in fact, Jeff Morris took me over to Martin Dirk's house, and he's gone now.
Yep.
But bought it over there at Martin's. But you look at the generations of Dirks that have been racing, and back the time frame you're talking about in the 80s, maybe 90s, there was Dennis running and was Marty Dirks running.
Yep.
And Al was running those NX Legends. Al was a chiropractor.
Yep.
But those guys, they always ran Ford motors. Their cars always were spotless. Yep. And, man, they did a good job and put on a good show. Yep. And, I told you, too, you remind me of John Bull and, some of the other guys that were out there that, they'd unload their car. It'd be spotless. At the end of the race night, you'd load it up. And, it's so important, Doug, not tearing up your car and being a clean driver. So, Chuck, that, you always kept your car in one piece.
Yeah, that's the goal is, we kind of talked about this a little bit earlier, but that the less that you have to repair the car, just get it back on the track, it gives you more time to work on the things that you need to work on to get better. And the way I'm going right now, I need all that time. So, keeping it clean, it's the easiest thing you can do to a race car. I mean, you go to the car wash, you wash it, and you make it look nice. At least if I show up, I was talking to Tim Marsden yesterday, and I said, I was wiping the tires off one last time.
Right.
I said, the old saying, if it ain't fast, you chrome it.
Yeah.
Well, that's my chroming it. I keep it clean. So, if Tyler Erb pulled in, he may look at that car and I wonder if I'm going to beat that. At least it's clean and looks good.
Yeah, it looks nice.
He beat me.
Yeah. So, hey, we move up a little bit. The Open Wheel Modified. The worst experience you ever had in racing. I'm announcing over at Davenport for Bob Wagner back in the day, and you're coming out of turn 4 and you end up on your lid in that car. I mean, what was going through your mind when you got her upside down?
Well, what was leading up to that is kind of funny. That was in 2005.
Okay.
We had a really good car. It was my first new M&M car from Mike Humphrey.
Okay.
And that thing was just fast right out of the box. We won the first 2 nights we raced with it.
Yeah.
Went to Davenport and won, went to Macokota and won. So when you're not having much luck and things aren't going your way and you get a pretty good car and you're working good together, well, I wanted to win every heat race there was. I didn't care what it was.
Yeah.
And there was no reason. I was just coming through the turn and I was going as fast as I could. And I did like a half spin.
Yeah.
And then I wanted to get right back in the gas so I didn't lose time.
Right.
Well, when it come back to the left, it popped the left rear off the rim.
Geez,
and that's what
news.
sent me flipping.
Yeah.
And then when I was flipping, a car went under me and kind of hit me a little bit as I was in the air.
Yeah.
And, luckily, it was cosmetic damage. But the funny part of that story is I'm sitting in the car upside down.
Yeah.
And you don't practice that.
You don't. I mean, you don't want to practice that.
So what do you do, So I'm sitting in there and I'm looking, and we ran alcohol back then.
Yep.
And I could see it dripping out of the carburetor.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting in the car upside down. I'm like, all right, I guess I got to undo the seatbelts. Well, then you fall on your head.
Yeah.
And I'm like, all right. And I saw that fuel running out, and I started feeling warm.
Oh, man.
And I could see just a little flame. So I was, I was like, geez, I need to get out of here. So I got out of there and I started walking, and I was like, man, my leg's getting hot, So I thought maybe it was on fire. So I dropped and rolled, and looking like an idiot. So then I get in the ambulance and we take a look, and what had happened is I had hit my knee on the steering shaft.
Okay.
And it was just red,
hey.
And got kind of hot.
Hey, who knew?
Yeah. I thought I was on fire.
Yeah, what the heck? That was always one of my biggest fears when I raced. I thought, man, if I get this thing over on the lid and you start losing fuel and your roof starts to fill up, you're upside down now. All of a sudden, you got a barbecue grill there, and you're the meat.
Yeah.
And so that was always my fear. I thought, man, if anything like that happens, we would build our roll cages 2 or 3 inches taller than what everybody else is running, because I said, I want to be able to get out that window.
Yeah.
And so, now, what was your best racing experience?
Oh, man.
Through your whole career, Chuck.
I'll tell you what. There's a few, but East Moline, my entire life, I've sat up in the stands. I heckled Jeff Morris and,
Oh,
and
yeah.
all those people for years and years and years,
Right.
And I don't get around that place well.
Yeah.
I just don't, I haven't figured it out. But here, 2018, I want to feature up there.
Right.
And just to be in front of the home crowd in all the years, I was expecting a little more heckling than what I got when I was down there in Victory Lane. But that was a pretty big deal to me. It wasn't about the money or the biggest money race that you've won.
Right.
That was pretty special. My son was there and Brent, who helps us,
Sure.
and we were just. It was a good day.
It was a big deal.
It was, and Jeremiah, and all those guys were there. We had 18, 19 cars that night. And, it was fun.
Yeah. So now the number 65, where did that come from, Chuck?
Well, when we raced go-karts, I was number 56 because Gary Webb was my hero.
Gary Webb was your hero. Okay, I like that.
So then when his son Brian started racing go-karts, he wanted to be number 56.
Okay.
And so the guy I raced go-karts for, we had 5s and 6s, so we just reversed them and we became 65.
All right. So let's go on here. Favorite racetrack? You've run a lot of tracks.
Davenport's my favorite. Always has been. Just the atmosphere.
I agree.
Even afterwards, it's just a good time. We actually bought a motorhome so that we could just stay there the entire night and go home in the morning.
Okay.
My wife, my daughter, Olivia, they go with us. We take the dog. I mean, it's a family affair.
It really is.
Yeah. So,
that's one of the things I like about race. When you look around a lot of the families, I mean, literally, it is mom, dad, grandma, grandpa. You got the kids there, and you're just having a good time. And I remember the time when women weren't allowed in the pit area, and we've made it to a point now where you can bring your kids in, bring your animals in, and just have a good time.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. It's times have changed, and I think it's for the better. I can remember when you go in the pits and you had to wear white pants.
Yeah. I kind of like those.
Yeah.
And if you went to the disco that night, you keep them on and go to the disco, right, Chuck?
That is really showing age, the disco. But things have changed for the better in that.
They really have.
That way, just being a family affair, and it's better for my wife to be in the pits now because she'd go in the stands and have a good old time, and then she'd come down and I'm crabby because I didn't do well, and so now she gets to see it the whole time.
And we got a picture of you up there right now.
Yeah.
How do you like that?
Yeah, that's
good-looking couple.
My lovely bride,
right?
Abigail Hanna.
Yeah. Now, Chuck, where'd all the hair go?
Well,
the helmet.
I'm 5'11", and my hair was only I was only supposed to be 5'10".
Yeah.
So it's like an inch under my head. You know what I mean?
Oh man, I like that.
Now they see that picture?
Yeah. Okay.
That picture was East Moline.
That was East Moline.
It's my son Chase on the right, and then Brent.
Man, he's getting big.
Yeah. Brent on the other side.
Okay.
Long lost family member as well. He helps out quite a bit. Chase, we kind of go back and forth. It's just like anybody. He's raced with me pretty much ever since I started racing. So,
oh man, that's awesome.
We're pretty hard on each other, but he's at every single race, and Brent comes over the house, helps. Integral part of making the team go, and that was a fun night. Like I said, it's funny that picture's up there because it meant a lot to us.
Yeah, great. So do you have somebody that you admire in racing that you talked about, mentorship? Is there somebody who has really helped you out over the years?
I just had good people surrounding me and knowing people. They were always willing to help, and there wasn't like just one person that would do that. I had Brian Webb right at the beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, all those years that he helped his dad, and he brought some knowledge to the program right away.
Yeah.
And then once we got rolling, he's like, I'm out of here. He was racing with his dad, so it kind of took up all his time. Then as time went on, like I said, Dennis Dirks, he told me what to buy, what not to buy. Don't waste your money on this. Hey, I tried this, it didn't work. And then learning what parts you need and stuff that, just through buying used parts from people and knowing the people to buy from, because you don't just want to buy from anybody.
Right.
You know, if you know them or know of them, generally, you know, that's the way to go. And then it just continues on. You know, Mike Humphrey,
Yeah.
you know, he helped us for 100 years, it seemed like.
Look at that. There we go. The Gary Webb crew.
The Gary Webb crew, that was out at the Zare building in Milan.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
And that's Dan Hoffman.
I know Dan.
My buddy Brett,
Yeah.
he was just back in town here about a month ago. We went and raced radio controlled cars together.
Okay.
Had a good time.
All right.
But yeah, those were, I believe, the first Gary Webb shirts that came about, and Dan had put that program together. You know, Dan helped me when I first started racing as well, when Brian and Gary Pease and a couple other guys. But yeah, that was a few years ago.
Yeah.
See, I was only like 5'9" then, so I had plenty of hair.
So, man, we looked at back in the day. I remember it was like 1979. Keith Knack from IMCA come around to different racetracks, and he had the original IMCA modified. And so Keith had said, you know, hey, this is a new class. We're going to have a lot of fun with it. And, you know, I looked at those cars, and I remember he was handing out flyers, and it said, you could go racing for under $1,000. And I thought, this thing ain't, you know, it's never going to last. And here we are all these years later now. IMCA is the biggest sanctioning body out there, you know, when it comes down to registered drivers and all that. Mm-hmm. And we've just seen it, you know, explode. We had the IMCA modifieds. We ended up with the late models. And then when the sport mods came out, you know, I'm at the Super Nationals up in Boone, Iowa. And I thought, oh, okay, this is kind of cool. It gives the IMCA guys a place to sell their used equipment. And, man, the next thing I know, I think they probably had 40, 60 cars up there the first year they ran them. And I'm going to say, you know, they probably have 300 IMCA mods and, boy, not many less in the IMCA sport mods. Mm-hmm. And so, man, you go up there to the Super Nationals, you get to see the IMCA late models like you run, Chuck.
Yep.
You get to see the mods that you grew up on. And, you know, a lot of great racing. But IMCA, I think, having a regular set of rules, you know, they've got those guardrails that you got to stay inside of.
Yes.
You know, as far as rules go, it's probably been, you know, the best thing that happened to racing. And then now, crate motors and late models. I mean, when I looked at late models last year with the 604 crates and the spec engine, I felt, and it's just me, so don't call me up or send me an email, I thought that the spec motor had a little bit of an advantage. Mm-hmm. But this year, the crate motors seem to be, you know, Andy Nesworski's picked off a couple of feature wins. He's running a crate. Is that right, Chuck?
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. And you're running what in those now, as far as fuel and carburetor?
E85.
E85?
Andy and I are both on E85. We try to do things that are financially the best for us.
Right.
You know, methanol makes a little bit more power, a little bit more torque.
Okay.
But it's not enough to win you the race.
All right.
The car that goes around the track the best is going to win the race. I don't care if you have a spec engine or a crate engine, and I'm not a proponent of either.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a proponent of both, I should say.
You are, yeah.
I sold my spec engine, and as a matter of fact, that is the car that Tyler Erb was driving, had my spec engine.
Had your spec engine?
Yeah, from last year.
That's pretty awesome. The number 99.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, you know, I ran it last year. You know, I mean, I put the crate in this year, and sitting in the car, you can't tell the difference. You
really
can tell the difference in sound, but, you know, horsepower-wise, torque-wise, to me, it's the exact same engine.
Man, that's great.
Yeah.
And I can tell you, the fans up in the stands or me sitting down there in the infield, you know, announcing, they all sound the same to me. When you're on the gas and ripping down the straightaway, you know, I couldn't tell you what was a spec motor and what was a crate motor.
Yep. No, I agree. You're going as fast as you can.
Yeah.
You know, and that's what everybody, each racer is doing every time. It really doesn't matter what engine's in there. You know, you're going as fast as you can.
So now when IMCA, when the old Deary series got sold to the Kosiski brothers, and, you know, they've got the Malvern Bank West series and then Hoker Trucking East series, have you run in those shows, Chuck?
I've run a few.
Okay.
Last year. I haven't run any yet this year. You know, with the crate engine, you're at a bit of a disadvantage going to those shows. But it's not to say, you know, if it comes to Maquoketa or Davenport, I'll probably give it a whirl.
Yeah.
You know, we got to get the car going a little bit better. it's just not been consistent. It's been fast and it's been slow. So we need to work on that a little bit. But I still think that crate on a given condition at a Hooper East series would get the job done.
You're going to be okay.
Yeah.
Hey, track slicks off, you're probably going to be better off. I remember back in the day, my brother Sam had bought a car from Doug Lent, him and Randy Anderson, and they had like a 408 in that thing, and they blew it apart. So they didn't have a motor, and they had the Governor's Cup coming up. So I had an old 358 down underneath the bench. It had a lot of laps on it. And I said, man, you're welcome to use that thing, Shane or Sam. And he gets out there, track slicked off, started 24th, drove that thing up, and got second. And I thought, okay, my brother has learned something now that you don't need all that horsepower. And so what's he say? If I had my 408, I could have won the feature. So I got to get that thing rebuilt this week. But, the great equalizer is, when that track slicks off, Chuck, that 604 crate will probably get her done and be easier to drive.
Yep, for sure. It's funny you mentioned that. Back when I was racing modifieds in those beginning years, kind of going back to the power, horsepower thing, I had 396s at that time, 396 Ford. And I had blown in, I blew an engine up, didn't have any money, and Dennis Dirks come to the rescue again. He said, hey, I found the guy that has an engine for $500.
Okay.
And I was like, man, I'm scraping to get that $500, right?
Yeah.
So I got the $500 and I bought it from Brian Godden. Okay.
Really?
So,
okay.
So I showed up at his place, never met Brian before, and he said, just
Mr.
the nicest
Ford.
guy. Just the nicest
The best
guy in the world. And he says, I'll sell you this engine, $500. And he says, I'll tell you what. He says, when you're done with it, if you want to bring it back, I'll give you your $500 back.
Really?
Yeah.
Man, you can't beat that.
And that was my introduction to Brian. So from there, a long-standing relationship with him and engines and racing and just being a personal friend, But
just a great guy.
That guy has helped more people than anybody else that I know all put together. I mean, he's just a giving type of person. So I need to thank Brian. I wouldn't be here today without him, having some engine issues and stuff and always getting me back to the track. So
wow.
Thanks, Brian.
So now the IMCA Super Nationals, have you ever run up there?
I have not.
Chuck, you got to go.
I know.
It's just, it's an experience. Sam and I, for years, I'm going to say from the first IMCA Super Nationals, they were in Benton, Iowa. Then I think we went to Independence year 2. That back then they used to move around. We ran West Liberty maybe year 3. One year we were up at Knoxville, Iowa. We were at Mason City, Iowa. And then finally the permanent home, I believe in 1988, became Boone Speedway.
Yeah.
But the whole experience, I mean, they start out on Monday, they go all week long, wrap it up on Saturday night, and the fans, the cars, I mean, where can you see 800 cars racing, in a week?
Yeah, nowhere.
You just can't.
Yeah.
You got to get up there and try it out, Chuck.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I did go up there for one night to watch.
Okay.
Probably 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
It was a good experience for the night, but I didn't get the full experience because they just seemed to have a really good time there. But it's pretty amazing. You watch on TV and how they do the track prep every, 4 races or whatever it is, or 10 races, I think it is. But it's neat that they go out and tear the track completely
Farm that
up.
thing out.
Yeah, from top to bottom.
Yeah.
Just like you would do on a weekly show once a week. They do it in between races.
Right.
So
It's just amazing.
Yes.
Everybody's got to see it once. And I think every track promoter should have to go up there and see how they do it up there once.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's just great.
Yep.
Hey, so tell me about something that no one knows about Chuck Hanna. The fans are up there. They see the 65. They see their late model hero out there on the racetrack. But what's something people wouldn't know about you? Do you have a hobby? Do you have, like Justin Kai's a farmer? I mean, is there something that people wouldn't know about Chuck Hanna?
Man,
Or do we need to say that when we go off the air?
Right?
Talk
No,
about that. Okay.
no. Just an open book. I'm pretty much an open book.
You are.
If you're a friend of mine or you know of me, you probably know everything that there is to know about me.
Okay.
I mean, I don't have this. There's racing is my passion. My family's my passion.
Yeah.
And what there is behind the scenes, I don't know. I'm not a gun collector or anything.
Yeah.
Not a lot of exciting things.
Okay.
I mean, I wish I could give you a good answer on that, but
You talked about radio controlled cars. The funny thing is, like in the winter months, we got nothing going on. So, Pat Moore, he ran on the World Outlaw Circuit for a couple of years back in the 80s, and their family was big into racing, and then, mom and dad are gone now, so that world changed a little bit. But all of these old racers, Jeff Morris is done with us, you got to come do it once too. We built all these wooden dirt tracks, and what we did was we took a East Moline Speedway 1/32 scale version. We built a quarter-mile track, 5 lanes, 6 lanes. I mean, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
And we were averaging 34 people a night out at Thunder Road Hobbies, racing those things, in the winter months.
Yeah.
So, and you talked about radio control, Chuck.
Mm-hmm. That was kind of how my racing career started out.
Yeah.
Back in the early 80s, there weren't any jobs around, and it was a fairly reasonable way to race something, and then we ended up racing that nationally. We'd drive all over the place. We'd drive to Chicago every weekend to race against those guys because they were the guys, when we went to a national meet, that were the guys to beat.
Yeah.
So we'd go up there and race with them. And that picture that you had earlier with Brett and Dan and myself, with
Right.
the Gary Webb shirts on, those two guys, we went racing all the time.
Oh, that's crazy.
So
Yeah, and we used to run into Dan down at Sunset Marina. Sam and I had both stocked down there, and Dan had a wave runner out there. He'd be ripping around on it.
Yep.
So it's all about having a good time.
Yep. Yeah, actually, Dan and I both had wave runners at that time, and I'm surprised I never saw you down there because we generally meet up and then go to Buffalo Beach and do our thing and then go back. So
I got to tell you, I talked to you about earlier, Chuck. Your favorite car that you had modified was when you had that black car with white lettering on it, and there was something about it. It was just simple. The lettering was easy to read, and I'll tell you, that kind of segues into sponsors. I mean, you got some great sponsors on your car.
Yep.
One of them being Scotty
Ruck.
Concrete Construction.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Scott is he's been with me for a long time.
Yeah.
And he's just a guy that wants to help. And
That's it.
I couldn't put it any differently. I had a few people talk about me to him.
Right.
That wasn't planned. And then we got together and he says, Chuck, as long as you're racing, I'll help you out.
Oh my God.
And he stuck to that. Great guy, fun to be around. And we run into each other at some of the specials when we're watching.
Right.
We'll ride our golf carts around. And,
Yeah.
Camp and drink some beers and all that good stuff. But yeah, him and Ron,
They're the best.
I probably couldn't do it without them.
Sure.
Just through all the years of when the timing was right and
Yeah.
when you need a little bit of help. So
we need
great
race
guy.
fans like him too, because I'm going to tell you, every special we run over there at Davenport Speedway, he's got his campsite down there. It's one of the first sites. It would be right in turn 1 on the half mile, and if you go there, he'll be out there grilling brats, burgers, T-bones. I mean, you never know what he's got on that grill. But Kelly, if you walked in there, he'd say, hey, do you want well or medium well, or how do you want your steak?
Awesome.
Yeah, that's the kind of sponsor to have.
Yeah, heck yeah.
So, and you probably do that too, Kelly. Grill steaks for everybody that you
Absolutely.
sponsor.
Yep.
That's the way to do it.
Yeah, he's just a giving person.
He is.
I mean, I see his name on
A lot of
a
cars.
lot of cars.
Yeah.
And it's great. We need people like him.
So
that-
besides that, Hale Printing's been with you a lot of years.
Hale, Jack,
Yeah.
and Jake. I used to race with Jack. I raced
Okay.
go-karts with Jack. And Jake is his son.
All
And then
right.
his mother's Lisa. But, they've been with me since 2002 or 2003.
All right.
Again, great people.
Right.
And I'm glad to be associated with the sponsors that I have because they're all quality, good people. Just been around forever. And,
Okay.
it isn't like you have to go in asking. It's just like a working relationship of that sponsorship. So they're great to have.
Oh boy, here Timbo Gould. He's down in South Carolina. He just said, if Chuck wants to race slot cars, I'll build him a body that'll look just like his late model. So, hey, if you decide to come out, you got a free body. I like that.
Looks like I need to come racing, so
That's
then you
right.
have to build the chassis, right?
I'll build the chassis. Why not?
I want one of those Womp cars.
You can have them. I got, that's another funny story, but they quit making those things, and they're like gold. And so we found some over in Europe and a few in Germany, and we bought them. And then, if anybody wanted one of them Womp cars, man, you got some good money out of that thing. So anyway, somebody had also asked, let's see here. Be sure you mention the brownies. What's that about?
Oh, Marcia and Louie.
Yeah, Marcia.
They are Matt Ryan fans.
Oh, okay.
And but they bring brownies to the races every Friday night.
Are you kidding me?
No. And
man.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
It's super nice people. Just again surrounded by great people. And even though they're Matt Ryan fans,
Yeah.
they'll stop by my place if I don't walk down the mats. Here lately, the last couple of weeks, they brought brownies down to me before they leave. But again, just good people.
More good people.
Yeah, and they're just race fans.
Yeah.
And they're there to for Matt, and they live and breathe it. So it's neat. It's good to have people like that around.
So now technology's changed over the years. I mean, back when I was racing, we were running oil-filled shocks, and you pay I don't know, $60-$70 for a shock and throw it on your car. And now we got the $1,500 street stock shock package, or the $5,000 late model, or even north of that. How have you adapted to all that, Chuck?
Yeah, when the late models went to the double adjustable, I was a little leery.
Okay.
Again, more just from the standpoint of not knowing anything about them.
All right.
Now, after racing on those for the last 5, 6, 7 years, 8 years, whatever it is, it's actually a financial advantage.
Okay.
Because in the modifieds, if they want to change their valving on their shock, they have to bolt another shock on.
Right.
With the late models, we can just click a couple, turn the clicker a couple clicks, and it will change the shock completely.
Yeah.
So I can control how fast it comes in or how slow it comes out, so that I paid $2,200 for my how 6 shocks in.
Okay.
And I've run those for 3.5, 4 years, and I know some of the modifieds now. They have a trailer full of shocks that are, I don't know what maybe $600-$700. I don't know, maybe $800 each. But they have to have multiple ones to adjust to track conditions. So, the technology with the shocks and the late model, you count on the people who basically dyno them for you, rebuild them.
And who do you have doing yours, Chuck?
I have Scotty Fitzpatrick.
Okay. All right.
Out of Waterloo.
Right.
Does mine. I've had Andy Eckrich do them. I've had Tyson Gear do them. It's just kind of funny how things move around, and
right.
You can spend, I don't know. I bought 3 new shocks this year, and on the average they were $1,000.
Okay.
Did it make me any faster? It doesn't seem like it.
Yeah.
So,
you hope so.
You're right.
Right.
But you always want to upgrade part of your program. Throughout the years. If you continually upgrade stuff, then you'll get to a point for myself where I can get a new car again, because all the components that I have are newer. So I can swap those over and all that good stuff.
Now, Chuck, the car you got right now, you say it's 3 years old. You bought it in 2018.
Yep.
And what kind of car is that?
That's at that time it was called a geared up master build.
Oh, I
Master's
remember
build.
those. Yeah.
Yep.
Tyson Gear was
Yep. Tyson was working.
waving the magic wand on those.
Yeah. And
Okay.
it was magic.
Oh.
We came out with that car, and we won 8 features in 2018.
I mean, that's crazy.
And we won at Davenport, East Moline, Donaldson. Almost won one in Macokota. Kai passed us on the last lap, but that was probably the best season of my career. And again, all to do with those guys up north. Justin and all the feedback that he had for the teams and stuff, and they just gave you a base setup. And I would ask Tyson, I'd be like, "What do I need to do at Davenport?" He said,
Right.
"Base."
Base.
What do I need to do at Macokota? Base.
Yeah.
So I finally quit asking him. And you know what? they gave you what you needed
Right.
to get close, and then it was kind of up to you to adjust what little bit you need to do from there. But that was definitely a good move for our team. To go to that car. That was what was winning a lot of the races. 2015 was the first year they came out, so 15, 16, 17. They pretty much dominated. Justin was unbeatable.
God. Well, yeah, he was. There was a couple of them. Ray Gus Jr. won 3 IMCA national championships. When he was driving for Kenny, and Justin Kai won 3 in a row IMCA national championships, and they were the only 2 to do it.
Yeah.
So that's pretty amazing.
Yeah. Anytime it seems like Tyson gets up in that camp up north, they go pretty good, and he's back there again this year, and.
You can see they got her tuned up, and it's going.
I just watched the replay at Dubuque last night, and
right.
I was like, holy cow, they're back.
They're back.
Dang it.
So, Chuck, some people feel you got to buy a new car every year. How many years do you think you get out of a late model before you buy another new late model and upgrade?
Yeah, there's not really a year number.
Okay.
It's kind of how many nights do you race? For instance, Nazworski will race 50 or 60 nights a year.
Okay.
I'll race 25.
All right.
So it's going to last me longer usually than, say, somebody like him or Matt Ryan,
right.
That are racing quite a bit. But really, an important lesson that I learned is if you have something good, you keep racing it until it's not fast.
Now, Chuck, how many times, I had a friend, Jeff Morris, if you're out there listening.
The Red Rocket?
The Red Rocket. He'd want to buy a new car. And I said, man, you got that thing rolling so good. You picked off 26 wins this year. And seemingly it would take him half the season to get that thing figured out. And I'm like, just keep the one that's working. And then when, things starts getting a little soft and a little tweaked, then it's time to get a new car. But hang on to them as long as you can.
Yeah, I agree 100%. I'm also on the flip side of that. If you have a car and you're not going fast, get rid of it.
Yeah.
Even if you bought it new, you bought it used, whatever that may be. I feel like I wasted too many years sometimes, trying to chase a car.
Yeah.
And they'll all work, but, sometimes, especially in today's time, you can buy technology and it makes it a little bit easier. But, again, something to look for on a car, when you're racing it, and is it time to get rid of it? Are the welds starting to crack? Or,
sure.
Is it getting fatigued? Is it,
right.
But again, performance-wise, if it's still performing, you keep welding it back up.
Yeah. Heck yeah. So Chuck, the late model fields at some tracks are getting soft. And what do we do to get some of those late model fields back up to, say 24? They have at Davenport on a Friday night. You go to some tracks, they got a dozen, they got 15. When I look out there at used cars, without a motor, I mean, you're talking about, you can pick them up for, $6,000, $10,000, put a crate motor in it and be racing for under $20,000.
Mm-hmm.
What's the deal right now? Because when I look at our fields of IMCA modifieds, we've got, we'll have 30 IMCA mods, we'll have 33 sport mods. Why is, it used to be that the goal was to eventually get an IMCA late model. I mean, has that changed, or what's going on?
I don't know the perfect answer to that.
Yeah.
Just in my opinion, there's always been a persona that late models are complicated.
Okay.
And they're, hard to take care of, and there's just so much technology, and the shocks are $7,000, and
right.
Some of those things, it's hard to get people to understand that it's truly not that way.
Yeah.
And I've through the years of racing and trying to recruit people into late models, I try to share with them what the actual costs are. But it's funny, if I get on Facebook and I share it, you have people like, oh no, that's not the way it is, blah, blah, blah.
I know.
It is the way it is.
It is.
There's no cheaper used car you can buy than a used late model.
And the payoff.
The pay is the best pay, but it's not all about the money, but it certainly helps pay, because if you race for that night and you can pay for your fuel, your pit pass, and maybe go out to eat afterwards, and those things, I consider that a win.
Yeah.
But in the late model, you finish in top 5, you can probably do that and buy a tire each night.
Yeah.
You know, if you race Friday, Saturday, Sunday and do that, you bought yourself 3 new tires.
Okay.
You know, it's just that, you know, talking about the shocks, we were talking about that. You know, I spent $2,200. You can spend less, and it doesn't make them any more or, you know, any better or worse.
Right.
It's just, you know, again, I just feel like the perception of, you know, how complicated it is what scares people away, because now financially it doesn't matter which one you buy.
Right.
You know, if you buy a new modified, you buy a new late model, they're the same money.
Right.
Now the used market, in my opinion, you know, I see street stocks going for more than
I know. So, is it crazy?
Yeah.
You know, when you see a street stock out there for $35,000, and we talked about this, and you know, IMCA stock car racing is the best racing there is out there. You know, and I'm a modified guy. I won a national championship. I love mods, and that's just who I am. But boy, when I watch those IMCA stock cars run at Independence or Marshalltown or up at Boone, them guys put on a show, and they're not out there beating and banging and tearing their stuff up. It's you know, a heck of a show.
Yeah, some of the best racing you'll see is definitely those. You know, if they have a World Outlaw show or something, they have those. I'll definitely watch them. You know, but back to the late model.
Hey, Chuck.
Yeah.
Hold on. Abby's your wife, right?
Correct.
You're telling how much money you have in this racing thing, Chuck. So she thought it was, you know, under $10,000 you spent. And...
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm just talking about other people.
Okay.
You know,
all right.
yeah. Mine was only $500.
Right. That was a cheap car. You know,
But you know, I'm a proponent. I've raced modifieds. Enjoyed them.
Yeah.
When I raced them, I watched modifieds. I didn't watch late models.
Right.
Race late models now. I really enjoy it. I want the class to grow. I feel like the class is growing a little bit this year.
It has. And I think the 604 crate was part of that.
604 crate, love them or hate them, it's part of it. You know, because a guy can come from modifieds, bolted in a late model, and you're capable of winning.
You know, I got to tell you a story. And this is Jeff Morris. You know, and I were talking. We're going to roll the clock back. You know, a couple of years. It's probably 4 or 5 years ago, and he was running open motors and getting them from one of the local shops. And I remember Jeff telling me that his engine bill at the end of the year was like $34,000. You know, he popped a few and go out and buy another $12,000 motor, put it in. So he thought, heck, I'm going to try these crates. And, you know, he put $7,000 on his credit card. The thing's on his doorstep the next day. You know, he went out and bought the crate carb, crate distributor, and all that stuff. Yeah. But he said, I really didn't look at that as, you know, a startup cost because I was going to have it. Mm-hmm. But he got like, you know, 30-some nights out of that crate motor that season, and didn't, you know, and then went into the next season and raced it another 25, 30 nights, and they yanked it out. They sold it to, you know, another racer, and then bought another brand new crate. So he said, all of a sudden I looked at my motor costs, and they went from $34,000 a year to $7,000, and that's huge. Yeah. And even though he's got money and owns a company and you know, was probably one of the guys that could afford the 34. Sure. It's still huge when you only got to spend $7. And then from, you know, a perspective of, hey, if I don't have to change motors all the time, I can focus on the chassis. So it really has cut the cost down. If you want to go late model, pop that thing out, get a used late model, pop it in, and you're going racing.
It doesn't get any simpler.
Yeah, it doesn't.
You know, the maintenance on the car, you know, some people were talking about maintenance on a late model. Yeah. I have 5 grease zerks on the whole car.
That's it.
That's it.
Oh my God.
You know, the Heims are Teflon Heims.
Yeah.
You know, you throw them in a bucket of soapy water, you know, once a month, and that's all it takes. I mean, I can literally get the car ready, especially this year without siping tires. They don't allow that anymore. So, which I think is a great rule. I can get that car ready, start to finish, after it's washed in about 4 hours. So
we got another question on there from Ryan Erickson, and he's saying, ask Chuck where the horse bit him. What's that story about?
Well, he's another one of my sponsors, Quad City Guns and Ammo.
All right.
Yeah, so I want to thank Ashley Erickson for sponsoring me with Quad City Guns and Ammo. But him and the horse, you know, it's just
that's just another story. Huh?
It's just a story.
Okay.
So you're not going to get to what you need out of that, Ryan. But thank you, Ashley, for sponsoring me.
Now we also got somebody saying that camera added 20 pounds to his head. He must be talking about our camera, huh? Right?
Not sure.
I think it makes me feel 50 pounds heavier. Yeah. I'm actually 185, but the camera adds weight, right?
Yeah,
me too.
My noggin's not little, so yeah, whatever it is, it is.
Okay. Kind of going down through the questions here. We got a lot of them tonight, but that's great. Got a lot of viewers. Things are going good. So, hey, if you could change one thing in racing today, Chuck, what would you do? What would you change? Is there something you don't like about what a promoter does or a track?
No, what the promoters do is up to them, and then it's up to you as a racer if you want to participate in it or not. I wish I could take the cost out of racing. How expensive everything is, so that more people could do it.
Right.
I mean, at the end of the day, today it isn't like yesteryear where you could go to the junkyard and pick up parts and you made your own car. The ingenuity that you put into it was the advantage that you had, and now there's not very many people that build their own cars.
Right.
So it just costs more money naturally. I guess the good news is usually you're pretty competitive. If you buy a good car, and with it comes some of that technology, but on the flip side of that, it costs money. And that's the unfortunate part. It's just like everything else. It's gone up. It's not just racing, but I wish more people could afford it, because I'm sure there's people out there that would love to race and just can't put the finances together to do it.
You said it perfect, Chuck. I remember, as a kid, my dad raced, and I remember sitting out in the grandstands and, looking out there and saying, man, I can do that. And I went out and bought an old Dodge pickup truck and an old rickety trailer and built me a street stock. And we were out there racing. And, I was a blue-collar guy, wasn't making a lot of money, and we could do that. And, we need to do whatever we can do to kind of, cut the cost of racing back a little bit. You were talking a little while ago about, there's some street stocks out there. It costs a lot of money.
Yeah.
I think, when I look out on the internet at used IMCA stock cars, IMCA hobby stocks, that's still, a reasonable class, four-cylinder cars. There's some high dollars out there, but you can still get one reasonable on the internet and get out there and make a few laps and see if it's something you like.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. There's classes that you can start in. If you have that bug and you want to go racing, the four cylinders, they seem to have a lot of energy and have a good time out there. But whatever it is that they can get into, it doesn't have to be modifieds or late models or whatever it is. If you want to get into racing, try to race within your budget and then continue to move up as money becomes available.
Yeah. And I tell people out there that get out and support your local racetracks. Get out, it's one thing to watch Done Right TV. On Done Right TV, you can get on YouTube, you can get on Facebook. You can buy a month's worth of shows for $40. That's economical. And if you got, grandma that can't get around real well and she still wants to watch your grandson race, we love you to, buy the program. And if, and if you want to be there in person, there's absolutely nothing like being at that racetrack in person. When you talk about taking the motorhome up there and spend the night, I mean, my gosh, we got a race coming up this fall, August, I believe it's 26th, 27th, 28th. We're going to have the World Outlaws in Davenport. And all the campsites are about sold out there. Mm-hmm. And we're going to have a live band there a couple of nights. And now, since Mississippi Valley Fairgrounds, I got to tell you, Sean Loader has been a godsend to Mississippi Valley Fairgrounds with, all the renovations he's done. The car, the property is very well maintained, and some of the surprises we got yet this year that we haven't told the drivers about. They've got that new entrance they're building over there at the east end of the racetrack. Well, when they get done with that, we're going to have speakers in the pit area, so you'll be able to hear me announcing up the. You're saying, "Hey, who's leading?" You're down there working on your car. You'll be able to hear what everybody up in the grandstands hears, and that's just another upgrade for Davenport.
Yeah. You couldn't have a better team than Sean with the guys promoting there. They get along. Sean, I don't know him real well, but I know he's worked his entire life pretty much at the fairgrounds, and
Right.
Got the well-deserved position, and all the upgrades that he did, has done, and continues to do, is it keeps it looking like a first-class facility, and hopefully he enjoys racing, which is very important, because if you get somebody running the fairgrounds and they're not really into racing, it isn't a priority.
Right.
He gives us a nice facility to race at, and in my opinion, first class all the way around. So
Yeah.
And again, with the Kais taking care of that, it couldn't have been a better situation. Ricky likes to get out there and play in the dirt and do his farmer stuff.
I know.
too.
You know what? And he loves it. That's the thing about it. He's passionate about it.
He's passionate. I told him the last time we raced there, I said, I thought maybe you were planting corn at the track and maybe your fields were smooth. I said, maybe you got the equipment mixed up, so. But
He's, such a great team.
Yep, they are. And Al, who helps them with the track prep. I mean, they do a good job.
Pleasant View Farm. What does Chuck think about the American Iron Racing Series?
Awesome.
Yeah.
Brian did a great job to create that class.
Crazy.
What are they averaging? I don't know, 20 plus cars?
20 plus cars, and now they got a race coming up. And I noticed on his page that he's asking that we want to try to hit 30 at this show.
Yeah.
And I just thought, my gosh, it really is a class where you can take those old thrown away modifieds or whatever they may be, throw a vintage body on them, go racing. And
Yep. Yeah. He did something special there. I mean, to be able to pull that together just from an idea of, his thing about that class was cheap and have fun.
Right.
Those were his rules. And I think they've achieved that, obviously, by the participation that they have.
Yeah.
And maybe something like that needs to be done. It's almost to that point in the late model class.
Right.
Like we're recruiting each other. And that's basically what Brian's doing. They have this group and they all kind of race together.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of hope that's what happens in the late model class, because we can't support all the tracks, but man, if we're not racing, I don't want to. Nothing against East Moline. They're doing a great job. It's just not my favorite track. I don't get around the place well.
Right.
And generally, if you don't run well, you don't like to go there. But I'll go there and support it just and hope that I win. Just to keep the late model count going. Again, going down to Donaldson or Burlington with an off night, I'm all for it. But that's how those Ayers guys do it. They just all pull together and
they
go.
do.
Yeah.
They help one another.
Yep.
Here we got Scotty Harris Rauch says, Chuck, you can build a mean golf cart too. What's he mean about that?
I guess maybe that's something earlier in the conversation you were asking about, something that people may not know about me.
Right.
In the winter, sometimes I'll buy golf carts, refurbish them, and then sell them. And I posted one for sale, and my sponsor Scott actually said, "Hey," he goes, "I'm interested in that one." So he bought one, and then he's done some upgrades to it, and it looks really nice. So
doesn't matter if it's a club car or whatever. You'll just buy used ones and go through them.
Usually mine's a club car.
Okay.
I'm pretty familiar with those, so I try to stick with them. They have the aluminum frame and all that good stuff. But I got a 6-seater right now that I bought for our family, and it does 35 mile an hour.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so bought a battery that'll go about 60 miles before you need to recharge it.
Oh,
so I get into those things.
Kelly, you might want to know about that.
I need one.
Need one of those batteries.
Yep. I'll tell you what, they're hard to come by right now. Just the market for everything right now is crazy. I actually didn't buy any this winter because the prices were so inflated, and by the time you put all the aftermarket parts on them, you couldn't make any money. So took a year off.
Okay, we're just about ready to wrap this thing up. Chuck, any closing thoughts?
Again, just a couple of sponsors I missed. I want to thank Brad Dubill at Dubill's. He's been helping racers for longer than I've been racing.
Yeah.
And I thank him. I got the Edge in Rapid City.
All right.
Donnie is the owner of the bar in Rapid City there, and he helps me out. Sometimes it's ice, sometimes it's beer, sometimes it's money.
Yeah.
But through all of those sponsors and people who just brownies coming to the track.
Right. Come on.
It all helps, and sometimes people don't think that, hey, what I'm doing isn't helping. As giving you crap about Ryan earlier. I park my camper at his building, in the winter, so I don't have to pay for storage. That's part of the deal. Just all of them. Again, thinking Brent, Chase, my wife Abby, my daughter Olivia.
Yeah.
My damn dog that runs around like an idiot, but she's getting more tame.
Right.
I just can't thank all those people enough, and the people who come to the races, that come to watch. It makes it fun for us racers, because we're all egotistical and want to win, But I would also like to say that if you don't have a good night, just general advice that I gave myself, and I would like to share with anybody that races. If you don't have a good night and people are coming down to see you after the races, forget about your bad night. Man, they're coming down to see you.
Yeah.
Talk to them,
Right.
throw that behind you, and go home and cry on your pillow when you get home.
Right.
But,
you might be their Michael Jordan.
They're coming to see you.
Right.
You know what I mean? And you're not going to win them all. And if you wreck your car, you wreck your car. My son and I have the 10-minute rule. We come in and we get into it sometimes, and we just get tired of each other. And I look at my hand or my wrist like I have a watch on, and I'm like, 10 minutes is up, we're done. But it's before anybody comes down.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, that's what they're there for. And also, if you can ask somebody to bring somebody to the races that's never been to the races, so we can continue to grow the crowds, that would be great. Anybody that wants to get into racing, a mentorship, if you have questions, find somebody that you trust that will help you and lead you down the path to get you going fast and doing the right things.
Good. Well, man, Chuck, thanks for being on, buddy.
Yeah.
Been watching you a lot of years. We've hung around the track together, and you were one of the people I thought, man, I got to get Chuck on the show and kind of hear your story. And you always had great looking cars. You always had a smile on your face, and that's one thing that I always appreciate and respect. Kelly, big boss man, you got any words of wisdom in closing?
I sure don't. Not today.
Yeah. Okay. Well, hey, just want to thank everybody for tuning in. We couldn't do it without you guys, and the numbers continue to grow every week. Tell a friend, tell a neighbor, share this thing. Just, even after the show goes off the air tonight, share it with your friends, share it with your family, share it on one of your favorite sites that you like going to. And it's without you people, without the interaction, this wouldn't be possible. Make sure to tune into Done Right TV. You can do that on YouTube. You can do it on Facebook. Check out the local races this weekend, wherever your local track may be. And, hey, if you can't get to the racetrack, bite on Done Right TV. So that is it for tonight. Tune in next week. We'll be back Monday night. Now, Kelly, I want to ask you about that. That's going to be Memorial Day. We're going to be on the air Memorial Day.
It's up to you guys. If you want to be, I'll be here.
All right. And just want to say thanks for tuning in. We'll see you Friday night at Davenport Speedway. God bless each and every one of you great fans that are out there. This is Shane Davis and my old buddy Kelly and Chuck Anna saying we'll be seeing you guys around the track. Good night.